Many issues in the world are often quite controversial and confusing until one comes along to clarify them. And so, in this world of increased technology and confusion on parents and children and gender and all the other things that in 15, 20 years ago were pretty well established and understood, what exactly is the point of, role of, and permissibility of IVF? I'm Jake McCarthy. This is Foundations of Faith. The camera angle is different today because I'm going to be using my computer to be reading off actual sources instead of simply reciting from memory. So IVF, in vitro fertilization, I'm going to go to a website called Fertility Out Loud. It is a group that helps promote and book and understand what IVF is. And so it says, IVF is a procedure where eggs are fertilized outside the body and then the embryo is transferred into the uterus. As you start exploring what it could mean for you, know that we've got your back. So they're a group that helps you, figure this out and procure the procedure. They then give you a 5-step of what happens. So, the doctor prescribed fertility drugs to help support the growth of the follicles which contain an immature egg. Once they reach the size, a trigger shot will be given to mature the eggs for retrieval. So what they do is they take the eggs out of a woman, and then they collect the male semen, the sperm, by means of masturbation, which is another mortal sin in of itself. So the fact that in order to procure this process, a mortal sin must happen, that alone should make every Catholic say, okay, not doing that. And yes, that is a mortal sin in case you didn't know. So then they inject the sperm into the egg and it's fertilized. And now there's a child, there's a human child. They do this in a petri dish. They create a child outside of the natural order of the creation of a child. And then they will implant the embryo in a woman who would not otherwise be able to conceive. This is the very definition of unnatural, and things that are unnatural are generally not good. The church doesn't usually approve of things that are unnatural. So, what they do is they take a child who's not been conceived in the proper way, it's been conceived in a dish in a laboratory, and then they implant them into another woman. This is most often used nowadays. There are some people who use it for the sake of, oh, we can't conceive, we really want to conceive, therefore we go through this other process. That's not natural, and therefore it's not good. But also, most people who use it, what the majority of the income for places that offer this service, it is from homosexual couples who wish to have a child. They then will pay a woman to be their surrogate in order to produce a child, which then the homosexual couple will take and raise. Once again, a child has the right to not be raised like that and to not be created like that. You may think it's just my opinion. It's not. From the Catechism of the Catholic Church, section 2378, a child is not something owed to one, but is a gift. The supreme gift of marriage is a human person. A child may not be considered a piece of property, an idea to which an alleged right to child would lead. In this area, only the child possesses genuine rights. The right to be the fruit of the specific act of the conjugal love of his parents, and the right to be respected as a person from the moment of his conception. The church teaches, Mother Church says in her infinite wisdom, a child has the right to his or her natural parents who conceived them through the conjugal act of marriage. No parent has a right to children. This is the lie that IVF, in vitro fertilization, gives us. It says, oh, you want a child so badly? Well, you have a right. You're a married couple, or maybe you're not a married couple, maybe you just want a kid. You have a right to that. You have a right to have children if you want to. No, you don't. In regard to the rights of parents to have children or children to have parents, the only right that exists in that context is a child to have their natural born parents. That is a right of the child. So no, the creation of a human life in a laboratory dish is not anyone's right and is actually a privation of the rights of the child. Moreover than this, people who engage in these services rarely, if ever, just do it once. Meaning, they don't just take one egg from the woman and fertilize it and then implant it. They harvest multiple. They will then, fertilize multiple. So now there's several children in these dishes. And then they will do testing to see which one will be the most viable or might have the highest IQ. These are studies that have been done. Look them up. I just wrote a paper on them. This is a study that happens so that the parents can choose which child do they wish to keep. The rest of them are then discarded. As of right now, there are more children killed daily through the discarding of fertilized embryos than there are of abortion daily. Meaning, in 10 years' time, IVF will have killed more human children than abortion will have. This is not something any Catholic or any Christian or any sane, rational person should be okay with. Now, what is the draw to it? We have to understand there is a natural desire to have children. It is a good desire. It is a beautiful desire. Couples who cannot conceive through the natural means, it is what's called a privation of the good. It is a natural evil, but it's still an evil. It's not good. There is something that in principle should happen that can't. And that is a very sad thing. So it's understandable why so many families might desire to begin in this way if they cannot conceive naturally. But here's the thing. There's already an answer to those who cannot conceive naturally. No evil is allowed by God that he cannot bring greater good out of. So some couples ignore their child's right to have their natural parents by putting them up for adoption. There are many reasons this can happen, and it is in general a good thing to put your child up for adoption if you cannot raise them, or if the situation does not allow you to be able to give them a proper life, whatever. There's a lot of reasons that one might do it. So that child is now being deprived of their natural right to have their parents. But this can be rectified because a couple that cannot conceive through the natural means can adopt that child. So here are two evils, two natural evils happening that are now being rectified. So the putting up for adoption and the adoption of a child is the fixing and the rectification of natural evils back to the good. Meaning something was lost, it's now being restored. Parents were lost for the child, and now these other parents who cannot conceive a child but have the desire to have a child adopt, and now this natural evil has been restored and the family is made. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. So the answer is not to go to some newfound technology and say, hey, I want to customize a baby to be implanted in me or whatever. It is to say, no, I'm going to adopt a child. I'm going to bring a child who is lacking their parents, their natural right. I will restore that right to the best of my ability. It is a beautiful, good thing. So the desire makes sense, and it's a good desire. But a good desire does not condone evil actions. There is no gray area or, in fairness, redeeming quality in IVF. The church condemns it formally for many reasons. It is creating a child outside of the natural means, which is already against the theology of the body that the church proclaims to be true universally and unequivocally. It is a privation of a child from their natural parents, creating him in the natural means, which the catechism that I just read to you says is the right of a child, the God-given right of the child. And it's also done through the masturbation of whatever man is doing, whatever he wants, for the sake of the fertilization in a petri dish, which is another mortal sin. So it's sin, sin, sin. The only good that comes out of this is that a child is created, but most of them are then killed. The majority of the children conceived in this way are then thrown in the garbage like they're nothing. There are posts online, you can look at social media. There are women who melt down the leftover embryos, as they put them, the leftover of their IVF, to make jewelry. There are women walking around today wearing the corpses of their killed children as rings and necklaces. This is an evil that must be eradicated and that we cannot in any way, shape, or form condone. Not make peace with evil, destroy it. We are called as Catholics to proclaim what is true. And so we cannot condone this increasingly popular technology in any capacity. Anyone who's watching who has procured this, this is not meant to make you feel guilty or despise yourselves. Again, I understand. If somebody's about to get married, I greatly, greatly understand the desire to have children. But not all of our desires are able to be fulfilled. And there are other ways that God wishes to use what has naturally been given to us, either as natural goods or natural evils, to the glorification and proclamation of his kingdom and of his name. So that's all I have on this fairly short video, but yeah. Cheers.